Think it's working. Hello, CIS Lit. You should see on Schoology that I uploaded everything for Song Poet, which is our next book that you should hopefully be almost done with by now. So please check that out. We're going to spend 2 weeks on Song Poet again, just because I feel like we're all benefiting from the slowdown. I don't want to force you to read a book a week right now, just because, that's a lot. We might as well slow down. We don't get to do the fun discussions we have in class, so we might as well take a breather and focus more on discussions and then give you more time to work on your responses. So for Song Poet, your first discussion will be due this Tuesday, April 14th, and then you'll need to reply to everyone else by the following Sunday or Thursday. Let's see. I'm checking. Whenever you get it done, it's fine with me. And then Song Poet discussion number 2, that will do the following Tuesday at April 21st. I did include a PDF of an article called Yang on Language. You don't have to read that, but I think it'll help you with your response papers because we're going to be doing narratology theory this week. Actually, I'm making decisions as I'm recording this. I think we're actually going to move into eco-criticism for this one, but I haven't decided. What do you guys think? I mean, you don't get to say because I'm recording this as we go. No, let's do narratology. It might say criticism on the assignment, so I'm going to change that to narratology. It should be all loaded and ready to go. I know that Giovanni's room wasn't set up until a couple minutes ago because Kat emailed me and said, "Hey, you didn't do it right," and I was like, "I get it." Okay, so narratology is more of a structural theory, which I think is really interesting with Song Poet, just because it's written in those kind of shorter stories. It's linear, but then it'll go back to present time for the Yang family, and then it'll go back to B's childhood. So we're going to talk about the structure of this text. You only have to do one response with narratology theory, but let's talk about it a little bit. I'll also post a document just because I know some people don't want to listen to me ramble, but I'm going to keep rambling. So, big question of narratology. What does analysis of the text's form reveal about the meaning? Why did Kaukalia Yang decide to write the text in this way? Now, she also wrote it with her father, who the story is mostly about. But what does the form reveal about the meaning of the text? So, it's a story of relocation, immigration, refugee, living in St. Paul, going to Hmong school, and then going to Carleton College even. So assumptions with narratology. There's a difference between story and plot. Now, a lot of times when you're focusing on a text, when you're reading it, you're just focusing on the plot. You're not focusing on the story part of it. Now, confusing because those sound like similar words. Tend to build up and break down patterns that we can use to help interpret it. So keep in mind with these assumptions, there's a difference between story and plot. Okay, you focus on the plot to get that information, but what is the story trying to tell you? What is it trying to tell you about the events of the story in general? Okay, another assumption, analyzing the way a story is told helps reveal a story's meaning. So why is it told in this way? How does that benefit you, the reader? How does that benefit the writer? Who tells a story deeply influences our understanding of literature. So because the story is written about B. Yang's life, but by his daughter, what does that say about our understanding of the text? Okay, so those are your assumptions. And then here is the what to do. While you're writing it, this is how you effectively use narratology. You're going to analyze structural elements such as chapters, parts, epigraphs. Why is the story broken down in those specific ways? If you wanted to write your entire paper on the dream sequence and then the tiger situation, that would be an interesting way to look at narratology and how it's represented in the story. I also want you to examine the treatment of time, which is very clear in Song Poet because it's not told in a linear way, right? Now, parts of it are linear and it's pretty easy to get in the swing of how it's told, but why is it told in that way? Why does it go between the family living in St. Paul and B. Yang's tumultuous childhood, escaping the Vietnam warlords? Look at who is telling the story. How does the narrator's involvement affect the text? So Kauklia Yang was in a refugee camp when she was very young, but she didn't grow up in it as much as her father did, right? That was his whole life. So keep that in mind while you're reading it. Explore the amount of stories told. Is there a frame and embedded story? So what does that mean? Um, what is the story set up to tell you? What is the point of it? What is Kauklia Yang trying to get you to understand? What is B Yang trying to get you to understand? Do they have different goals in life, or are they working together to kind of tell this story? Examine those contrasts and parallels and the weight given to each part of the story. So if you're focusing on Kauklia Yang's telling of the stories, what weight does that give her? She's the writer in the family. So you can tell that she helped her father write his sections just so it would fit together, so it doesn't feel so chunked, where it goes from one storyteller to another. It flows very nicely, but that's just because she's an amazing writer. So those are your things that I want you to focus on for narratology. Your response papers for Song Poet, so those 3 response papers, will be due Sunday, April 26th. You've got quite some time to sit with those and see what we're working with. I hope you're doing okay. I haven't received a lot of questions from you guys about anything, so I hope everything's going okay. I miss you desperately. I wish we could have our discussions again, go around the circle and share something stupid about ourselves. So maybe we'll have a Zoom hangout one of these days, but it won't ever be required just because I know people are now working at different times and you've all got different family stuff going on. So just trying to be cognizant of that. But if you want to do like a Zoom hangout at some point, even if you just want to do a Google Hangout with me to talk about your paper or something, listen, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not leaving. Hopefully you aren't either. You're all staying home. So anyway, let me know if you have any questions, and I will hopefully talk to you soon. Bye.